we got the amazing Isaiah. Isaiah, thank you for that music in the backyard. I told him I'm gonna start having music interviews. But you guys, thank you so much for those that are out there watching us. We do appreciate you watching us wherever you might be, morning, afternoon, evening. Hello. As we are Black Link Magazine we're worldwide. We're in Canada, we're in Africa, we're in Oklahoma.
Ooh.
Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
everywhere. And we're just amazing. And we're just amazed at the things that we're doing here. And to have Mr. Isaiah Washington with us is a big deal for us. So, Isaiah, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Marva. Absolutely. And give a shout out to Hiawatha Henry, who I call my Native American gun.
Hiawatha, girl, you just don't know. Thank you for
Yeah.
everything. And what she always says is God. And it is.
Always.
Always, she said
100%.
it's God, none of me, but all of God, and I like that about her. So shout out to you, Hiawatha, and I want to shout out Jackie at Sheen Magazine as well. So
Absolutely.
NAACP Image and SAG Award winning. I heard an interview with you, Isaiah, and you was like, "I'm an actor, and I do it pretty well." And you have proven to be a really good actor and good at what you do. Let's talk about some of the things that you've done in the business, because you've been in the business for a long time. Let's talk about how you started and what piqued your interest in the acting world and the entertainment world.
Well, actually, as I said to Sam on his show, Sam Della Santo, is that I think I had a life crisis at the age of 23 back in 1986. I had just been working in the private sector in Gettysburg, Maryland. I was married to a lovely woman who I had met in the military when I was in the Air Force. She was in the Army. I got married young at 21, actually the day after my birthday, and my mom did not want me to do it. She did not trust my partner at the time. And long story less interesting, she was right. We ended up being separated. I think I was probably depressed and didn't know it, and pretty much sabotaged my private job. I felt like I reached the pinnacle, walking around big screen television, ascot, and smoking a pipe at 23. I'm like, come on, this is it. There's got to be much more God for me to be doing. And one thing led to another. I ended up homeless, actually sleeping in my car, and found myself auditioning for a local gospel play after I was doing some temp work with Kelly Temps for IBM. And I had a crush on this young lady named Cynthia. And she was one of the managers of my expediting logistics department. I would basically be the person that if you haven't paid your bill, I would convince you to pay your bill so you can get your parts, right? And I was very good at that, very charming. And people was like, you know what, I like you. I'm going to pay my bill, And it got the attention of the president of IBM in Gettysburg at that time. Wow. But I was working in a basement in a cubicle. No, I thought nobody really cared. But Cynthia said, well, it looks like you want to, hang out. But in order to hang out with me, you got to get born again. You got to get saved. I'm like, what? She says, yeah, you got to go get baptized if you want to date me. I said, are you serious? So, being a knucklehead man, one-track mind. I'm like, yeah, whatever, sister, whatever. Yeah, I'll go to your church. Yeah, I'll get baptized and get you to dinner and whatever. Let's go. Got baptized, fell in love with Jesus more than her, and I took it very seriously. And I asked God, what is it that He wants me to do? Or whatever you show me, I will promise you I'll be the best at it. Just give me 10 years. And I did a play called Pork and Beans for this a gospel play. And I had a musical director named Michael. And I happened to play a character at the time in the 80s. No one really, it was like COVID. No one knew what HIV was, AIDS. And in particular in our community, hit us hard as well, if not harder than our less melanated group of people in New York at the time, on the eastern seaboard, so to speak. And apparently I played the gay character so well that Cynthia thought I was gay. So she was like, there's no way you can play a character named Sweetie Pie that well and not be gay. So she was no longer interested in me.
Really? She really thought it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, she was convinced. that I was in the closet. She was convinced.
Oh
So
wow.
people still are. Every role I play, they think that's who I really am.
Right.
So that was a good sign. And Michael, my musical director at the time, said, "You know what? You need to take this seriously." He gave me a book called Oscar Brockett that was teaching theater people with theater interest in theater, how to build stages, how to set the light design, by called Oscar Brockett, I believe. And I read in there, as I read it cover to cover, um, in my car when I had nowhere to live, with a flashlight, actually a pin light, and I came across Ossie Davis's Howard Players. And I thought, oh, okay, great. So I'm in Maryland. Howard University is in DC. Let me go there. And by that time, I was hustling, singing, selling like watermelon clocks, pots and pans out the back of my little Chevy Spectrum that I was sleeping in.
Aw.
So I can eat. I would go to the happy hour and just eat up all the food, because it was pretty much free. And I found myself on the campus of Howard University and ran into this actress named Nia Love, who was doing a Shakespearean monologue as she was dancing,
Right.
rehearsing. I believe maybe my memory is foggy, but she was beautiful. Had a head wrap on, and I started asking her questions like, "Where are the Howard Players?" And she said, "Oh, the Howard Players. Well, okay, great. They're up in the music department." So I went to the music department. Come to find out, the Howard Players was a world-renowned marching band. In 1986, it was no longer a functioning theater company that I.C. Davis put together at Howard University back in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
But I was distraught, feeling like, oh man, I worked hard to get here to Howard. Howard Players doesn't exist. And then I ran into another individual that said, you need to, what are you doing? I said, I wouldn't be an actor, but I want to start school and I want to go here. She says, oh, okay, well, you just need to, sign up and pay your admission fee, and I'll introduce you to Vera Katz, Professor Vera Katz, who's 86 years old, still gives me notes. Let me audit her class at Howard, as I was sleeping in my car. Then I got to charm some of the other the young ladies that was in the theater department. Melissa Taylor, who I still keep in touch with on Facebook, allowed me, and Deidre Floyd, they allowed me to stay with them. I ate up all their food because all I could afford was Vienna sausages. So I
Oh,
got tired of eating Vienna sausages. So I started eating their turkey sandwiches and peanut butter, and I couldn't replace it because I had no money. But they let me get away with it. Good
yeah.
story to tell today.
That's
And
nice.
they took care of me, and I got out the car, got a call from the department saying that, would you like to return your car upon your own volition? Apparently, I have received so many tickets parking around the campus of Howard University. They were able to find me and know that I was running away with their car without paying for it. So I took the Howard University, signed off. Drove to Houston, showed my mom that I'm in college, first one to go to college, saw the Howard University sticker on the back of the car, then got some more money from her for selling her China silverware that I gave her when I was in the military. Went back, enrolled full time, and next thing I know, I was off to New York, auditioning for what they call a repertory theater called City Kids, which is still doing very well in the communities in New York, called the City Kids Repertory, with
Uh-huh.
Diane Houston. And from there, I started doing commercials. Then I started booking, like Ford car commercials, cereal commercials, Coke 45 commercials, beer commercials, which I started making a lot of money.
Mhm.
And then I realized I don't want to do theater as much anymore because it's not paying well. You
Right.
do a play, and then you got to go straight to the unemployment line so you can keep making money.
Mhm.
Then I ended up on One Life to Live, All My Children, and then I started auditioning, for other TV shows, and then eventually I hit the jackpot when I was able to afford to live in Brooklyn. Um, I got into acting because, in 1986, before I got to Howard, a friend took me to go see She's Gotta Have It. And that's when I decided that I'm going to be an actor because I love that movie. And in 10 years, I'm going to work with Spike Lee. Well, by 1996, I had already worked with Spike Lee
Working with
for a
Spike
movie.
Lee.
Yeah, 1996, I was doing Get on the Bus. So everybody thought I was crazy. You're gonna be an actor now? Wait a minute, what's going on? You're nuts. You never work with Spike Lee. You're never gonna be an actor. So I put myself on a 10-year plan. I stuck with it. I sacrificed greatly, and here I am.
Yeah, I think that people just miss that part. They miss the sacrificing part. They only get to see
Yeah.
on the outside looking in, the glitz and the glamours and the end part of it, but they forget about what you had to go through to get there. And I want to be an actor. I want to be in the entertainment. But it's a
It
lot.
takes 20 years to become an overnight success in this business.
Yeah, it does. So what was it like working with Spike Lee, and how did you get that spot? You know, there was a couple of Spike Lee movies that you were in.
He apparently was mentoring Forrest Whitaker's first directorial debut for HBO for a
Oh,
film called
wow.
Strapped, starred Virgil Starr and Bokeem Woodbine. That was back in 1991, I believe. And I had a smart role in there, what we call a day player role, under five, where I played an undercover cop that was investigating some teenagers that was running guns in New York in that wonderful classic film now called Strapped.
Mhm.
And apparently he was looking at the film, giving Forrest Whitaker notes, and saw my performance and wanted to know who I was, because Spike figures, like, if there's any good actor out there and they're black, he's got to work with them. He's got to put his hands on them. I got to know who they are.
Yeah.
They can't be out here and not working with me. So I ended up auditioning for Crooklyn, highly contested auditions with everybody from Leon to Cuba Gooding Jr. to Bokeem Woodbine,
Wow.
and
Happy name.
apparently beat them all out. Got in, was chosen for the role of Victor in Crooklyn. And then from there, I received offers from Spike. He would call me up, tell me to come, hey, read the script. I got a call Clockers. I want you to read. I got this role for you named Victor. Boom. And that was that. And the next script, he said, I got this script called Girl 6. Come over and read it. You read too slow. I need to get to the next game. Lock up the door when you leave. Because he was in the neighborhood at Fort Greene. I lived like 2 blocks away from him.
Yeah.
So my first 4 movies were with Spike, and my mentor Harry Poe always said that because of who I am and my energy and my spirit, I'm strong-willed. It's going to only be 3 ways I'm going to get to Hollywood. And I said, what's the first way? He said, Spike Lee. And I said, well, what's the second way? He said, Spike Lee. I said, well, what's the third way that I'm going to get Hollywood's attention? He said, Spike Lee. And he was right. By the time I got Clockers, I was the new young hot thing on the scene after Clockers came out. And then after that, I was cast in opposite of Teresa Randall in Girl 6, which is still getting a lot of attention today.
Yeah.
The last 25 years, the soundtrack was done by Prince, God rest his soul. It was a big deal. And then Get on the Bus. And then after that, I got through Warren Beatty's movie opposite of Halle Berry. And
Yeah,
Warren
so
Beatty's
I was gonna
Bullworth.
talk about that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what was it like working with Halle Berry? Because at the time, I mean, she was on top of her game at that time.
Oh, she
What
was cool. She was cool. And she shared, I mean, she'd been through a lot. I don't know if she's going to ever write a tell-all book, but she went through hell, because of her beauty. I mean, in that time before B2, it was common that you're going to be approached. You can't get a job without the casting couch. And she had to be very clever to get past all that. I'll lead people to believe that it was going to happen. Just let me work. It's very disgusting. That's why I never thought I would be a director or producer, because my experience of the power that was being abused by directors and producers that I witnessed during that time, I wasn't very thrilled about becoming a director or producer. But obviously, B2 changed that.
Yeah.
The Me Too movie changed that.
I interview, entertainers, music in the music world, in the fashion world, in the movies, and all of them talk about, especially for women, how hard it is because they expect something from you, and so it's not an easy
Even for men.
Yeah, and I was going to say, not just women, but for the men too.
I've been hit on many times. I've had to run out of the rooms and and like threaten to get people off of me, putting their hands on my legs and running their hands up my crotch, So that was just the nature of the business.
I wonder why.
Because we want something, we need something, and we're vulnerable, and it was a culture. People literally got away with rape and murder for so long, so they figure you're not going to get past, you're not going to get to second base unless you come through us. And hurt people, and the entertainment industry, artists are usually damaged people. So this business tends to attract a lot of hurt people, right? Yeah. From my experience. and they repeat whatever has happened to them. It's case in point, this movie Kevin Spacey called Swimming with Sharks.
Uh-huh.
If you really want to understand how the business operates, watch that movie with Kevin Spacey called Swimming with Sharks. I showed it to my 15-year-old daughter. She loves the movie. She was holding her mouth going, Dad, no, that's how it is. And I said, that's how it was. Hopefully, now that I'm coming into this stage where I'm directing and producing, that I can become a different kind of role model for how you're supposed to behave in leadership like that.
Yeah, it breaks my heart because people really want to be actors. They want to be singers. They want to be entertainers in this business. And it's just a tough business. And it's sad because that's what people love.
Well, they don't see it as a business. They see you, they see me, they see someone on television, and they think, oh, I can do that.
True.
It's a dream because, next to money, next to sex, next to the gun, the firearm, television, the medium is the most powerful opiate, the most powerful medium in the world. Everyone's attracted to it. Everyone. You don't see brain surgeons into their career and becoming an actor like athletes and music figures, because technically it's fantasy. It's built on fantasy, and the industry is is in the business of selling you the fantasy, be it sexual or intellectual or spiritual, well, not spiritual, but physically, whatever you look like, right? That's what they're selling, and it's a symbiosis there, because that's what people are buying. They want the fantasy. They don't want the truth.
That's right. And I was saying, and that's what sells is the grimy stuff. The griminess will sell quicker than,
Well, that only started in the last 20 years with things like Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition. You had a lot of grimy people and grimy behavior, like Elvis Presley and John Wayne were monsters, but you never knew about it. They didn't write about it.
No.
Once TMZ hit the set and start exposing people, and then the audience start loving it, and you had the comment section on the internet, then it became very profitable. So like anything, once it starts making money, then you're going to get more of it. But the problem is, I think it's run its course, is because now the nosiness of the public don't want to know all of the intricate private things about their heroes. They don't want it, but it's too late. The cat's already out the bag.
Yeah, I get that. Tell me, what is it like? On to another, to turn the page. Tell me what it is in the life of Isaiah Washington when he's working on set in the morning. What do you get up and do? What happens in your life when you're working on set? Because now, you're a director, you're a writer, you're all that now. So,
well, quiet as it's kept, Don Cheadle and I worked a lot in the 90s because we were known to rewrite our once stereotypical roles. We never got the credit for it. So we were hired, the word got out, it's like, well, we don't know how Black people act or think or what they eat or what they dress, so let's hire Isaiah and Don Cheadle. They'll tell us. And we would rewrite it. Like most of the dialogue in Romeo Must Die, I wrote myself to make sense of it. They wanted me to look like Slick Rick, wearing Kango hat, gold fronts. A lot of people don't have Black friends in this business.
Yeah.
So when we show up, they pretend they're comfortable or understand the nuances and who we are, but they're just writing a Black role because they have to check out the box to not be considered, not to be considered inclusive, and that's against the law. But at the time, it's changing. But at the time, it was just a box to check off. So now you see Hispanics or you see Asians, or it's just something to say that, hey, we're not racist. We hire minorities, right?
Yeah. So when you got past the Spike Lee stuff and you got past all this, and what was it that made you say, I'm gonna go independent? I'm gonna go on for it. It has to be independent at this moment, because aren't you like creating an independent movie or at this moment? Like
I didn't have a choice. After all the lies that were spread on me after the scandal of Grey's Anatomy, I was on the outs. I had to keep working. So what Hollywood didn't understand is that I had an incredible resume before I got on television.
Yeah.
I had a fan base before I became Dr. Burke.
Right.
So what the TV world doesn't talk to the movie world. They are totally two different worlds. People don't understand.
I was going to ask you about that.
Totally different worlds, because they have totally different power structures. They both make so much money that it's pretty much, exclusive. So there's not many of us that look like us that are in the boardrooms
That's
or
right.
in those development rooms or those casting rooms. So they don't have to consider us, because the thought is that, well, if people that look like us don't sell as much without the other less melanated group of people, right? And I've always said that Hollywood is really promoting, division more, because assuming that, when I go to a movie, I don't look at a movie because it's all white people, all black people. I look at a movie because I want to see it.
Right.
I don't prejudge a movie because even when I was watching movies, I never thought once, well, there's nothing but white people in this movie. I'm not going to go watch this.
Right.
Well, in their minds, they see a person that's starring more than 3 African Americans in it. They think that movie's not made for them. And that mindset uh, was created out of bigotry back in the 50s,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah.
we were in the 20s, where if we were going to be seen, we were going to have to be stepping fetching, or we have to play a mama, or have to play a sidekick or a sage. There's a lot of big movies. You have one black character in it, and he dies in the first 15 seconds, first 15 minutes of the movie. He's already dead. Jurassic Park. He's already been eaten by the dinosaur. He's
Yeah.
already dead. I mean, so they
Sure.
just say, okay, yeah, okay, we hired the black guy. Now he's dead. Okay, let's move on. It was just part of the structure that they didn't see as being negative, or not inclusive, or ultimately becoming divisive, or even racist, if you would say. But when you don't have a certain amount of minorities making money, then that is racism. When the wage gap is different from our contemporaries. But
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of less melanated people that don't work a lot either.
Yeah.
Even Hilary Swank, she's got 2 Oscars. Where is she at? Catherine Bigelow, she's got an Oscar for Hurt
Yes.
Locker. Where is she at? So
Yeah.
they still treat women
Yeah.
unfairly, no matter how successful you are, because it's about the bottom line, or who you know, or just whether they like you or not. It doesn't take much. I
Oh,
don't think a lot of it is based in racism. I just think it's just based in just aberrant behavior, like, well, you didn't do this for me, or you made me feel like this. It's like high school, you know. I'm really shocked that a lot of things even get done in Hollywood, because everybody is just so high schoolish. It's so petty.
that's
So
horrible. To me, I'm like, no, don't be an actor. Don't go sing. Don't be a rapper. Don't do nothing. Go find something
well,
to do.
a lot of people told me no, and here I am talking to you almost 30 years
Yeah,
later.
you are. And so let's talk about that, because I talked to some people, like they like some actors or entertainers, they're real big and then they just go away, like you just talked about. What keeps you relevant in the game?
Well, I just believe in God, and I believe in my talent, and I believe that I have allies. I've never had an agent audition to get me a job. Every single project you see on my resume on IMDb, those are all because somebody picked the phone and called me and said, "I want you because I saw you in this."
Wow.
My whole career has been about
That was
offers.
blessed. That's blessing.
So my offers didn't stop just because I was no longer in a particular space on a particular show. If you look at my resume, yeah, but am I working for the studio films? No, because first of all, I want to be clear. I'm not in major studio films because I say no, because I don't like the characters. I think I've earned and sacrificed enough to play something just as worthy that you would give to, Will Smith, or Wesley Snipes, or Sam Jackson, or Denzel. But they don't see it that way. They want to go for the sure thing. These are made men with the banks.
Yeah.
So I didn't qualify for other corporate structures that says, oh no, give us Denzel. That's why you like Denzel can't do everything. He's super talented. Will is super talented. They can't do everything, but it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with who's investing in that property. It's
Investor.
business. They want something that they know the whole world recognize. We don't want to spend money on Isaiah to tell everyone who it is, because they make it confused and think he's Denzel. I had somebody say that.
But
We
it's
can't
crazy
we
because you
can't
have
we
a lot
can't
of
promote you because we already have a Washington and his name is Denzel.
fans. But that's crazy because Isaiah Washington has fans. You have a fan base. And
Well,
so
well, well. See,
I don't get that.
the boardrooms, the Hollywood structure, the executives don't consider what Marvel thinks.
You had to see my name.
They don't consider what the NAACP thinks.
Yeah.
They consider what they think. They decide what you're going to see, and they're still deciding. But
Right.
I was able to find other allies and do other movies outside of the Hollywood system, and I still am with my movie Corsicana, with independent allies that are investing in my talent or trusting my brand that I've still been able to sustain and maintain out of transition in the last 15 years. So actually, if you look at a lot of the successful films in the last 15, 20 years, they all have been independent films, not major studio films. You know, they go with the sure thing. They know people are going to show up and watch Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They know people are going to show up and watch the same old Marvel. Those never going to stop making money.
Right.
Because I enjoy them too, right? I enjoy Spider-Man. I even watched one. We had 3 Spider-Mans over the last 20 years.
Right.
You know, I mean, what average person doesn't like a good comic book story? But the thing
Right.
about Bass Reeves, he has a comic book story where he's a superhero unto himself. Bass Reeves, I believe, during the height of his career, arresting 3,000 people in what is now considered Oklahoma. He died in 1910, but Oklahoma became a state because of work like him done by him and men like him. You know, I have a whole TV show that's completely ready to go, but they already have David Oello at Paramount Plus with Tony Sheridan, because David Oello is a bigger
Yes.
brand for them. And
Right.
so is Telly Sheridan, who's super talented and super successful. And then Amazon has a place, but I tried to do business with them. They want someone else. I don't know. You know, the corporate structure decides who's going to get the job. You understand that? It's business affairs.
Right.
It's not you. It's not me. It's whoever's writing the check decides who they want.
Yeah.
Okay, because they are taking a risk from their lens. From, you know, they, like I say, they don't have a lot of black friends.
Right.
You know, and if they do say, I do have a black friend. My neighbor is black.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is that you don't understand the culture, and you can afford not to. They've done a lot in the last 75 years in this industry to afford not to listen to anybody but with themselves, because it's been working so successful. And we support all of the less melanated movies, because we don't judge and go, I'm not going to go see the movie because it's starring Brad Pitt or starring George Clooney. We don't do that. But the industry, and those actors don't do that either, because Brad Pitt has done an incredible job producing movies like Moonlight, very diverse in his thought, you know, with what he does, right? And as well as George Clooney and Steven Soderbergh and Matt Damon.
Yeah.
They're not the problem, but they had to be the white guy in Born Identities to make the money, to get their production company where they can decide to be more diverse. So you got a lot of 70-plus-year-old guys with cigars stuck in their mouth that, look, this is what it is, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, whether it looks like it's racist or prejudice, the jury is not really out on that yet. It's just that I'm looking to do it the Oscar Michaud way. If you believe in my brand, if you think that I'm a fine actor and you expect something from me, the brand says this guy's probably going to be really good at Fast Reeves. Let's go check it out. And that's where I'm at. Is I'm in a situation going straight to the theaters starting August 26th in my hometown of Houston.
Yes.
At Star Cinema Grills, doing it the Oscar Michaud way. If you don't know who Oscar Michaud was, look him up. I'm Master P in this thing. I'm Tyler Perry in this thing. I'm Medea in this thing, because Medea was a hit with the people long before Lionsgate started putting them in the movie, and then he ends up making 400 million. So my thing is, if the people decide they like what I'm doing as an actor, writer, and director, then I have to rely on their vote.
Yeah.
And their vote is their money.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So if it gets my investor their money back, then that's good for me. And then it gets me an opportunity to hire more people, hire myself, and continue to do what it is I do, because we have cut out the middleman. We're going straight to the theater, going straight to the people, and all the theaters are saying yes to my brand.
I love it.
Why? Because they're like, we miss you, and we don't have to wait for, you know, well, I almost spilled the cat or something right there, but I almost told them. Yeah, but I'm working with a very big streaming company real soon, in a very big movie. So there's love out there, believe it or not.
So there's 2 things. I'm gonna let you go. I know we're running long, but there's 2 things I want to talk about. I want to talk about P Valley. I want to talk about your work in P Valley, and then I want to talk about Corsicana. I want to talk about the movie that you got going on independently. So for P Valley, how was it? How did you get why P Valley?
Well, Patrick Ian Polk, the co-executive producer, he put me in that situation. They had the role of the mayor, and they auditioned other actors, but they wanted them to be very poignant, very powerful. And Patrick Ian Polk, who I found Monique for him in the movie Blackbird
Yeah.
that he directed back in 2014, that you know didn't do as well as Moonlight, but we had our first openly gay Julius Walker lead in that movie, and it's a sweet little movie. I still, I was a producer on that, and it worked. Still a sweet little movie. Could it have been better? Yeah, I guess, but it is what it is, right? And Monique was a powerhouse, and Julia was amazing in the movie. It was a great story. It was based on a book that had been out for like 20 years before 2014.
Love
right?
Monique. I love Monique.
So Patrick called me, who is openly gay and Black, called me and said, "Hey man, I want you to be Katori." And I was doing Tales for John Gotti, Tales for BET in Atlanta, and working on this incredible Tyler Perry studio set, which I hope I can emulate one day. Amazing in Houston.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
Yeah, put it in Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, and took the meeting. 2 hours later, I had the role, had the offer. And Nico Anon, it was tough having to be mean to Nico because Nico's my baby. He's amazing, and I knew Nico was going to blow up. Yeah. But Nico is he's no spring chicken. Right. This is not his first rodeo. Nico was working in the agency, so he knows the game, he knows the business, and he's very clear on who he is as a man first.
That's what matters.
And yes, he's a gay man. He's from Ghana. He's an African man. He's my brother. And we had a good time, man. We had a good time. And apparently there was just, Katori wanted to go and really honestly in the other direction, a more spiritual direction, a more focused on the women, as she should, because she's a Black woman, right? So a lot of characters didn't return. I wasn't the only one. A lot of characters have kind of been like missing. Like you're just now seeing Gidget, you're just now seeing Diamond a little bit more. So she just had a different plan, and my feelings was hurt.
We can pass it.
Because I wanted to be there. I was there with the team when we were winning, and I was hoping that I can continue on and be there for season 2 and just keep doing what I'm doing. But she's the boss.
That's right.
So everybody want to know why I'm not there. Go ask her. It's her show. It's not my show. Corsicana is my show.
That's your show. Let's talk about that.
And the good thing is that if had I been there, how God works, had I went back for season 2 and been there, I would be talking about nothing but P Valley.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be as present for a movie that I worked on that was the only movie that's finished during the pandemic in 2020. I wouldn't be present as an executive, as a director, as a producer to talk about this incredible movie I'm in called Corsicana, this incredible man that the world needs to know, the American history that we need to know, that if you see any mustache man that's less melanated with a big hat that can shoot well, from John Wayne to Sam Elliott, who's a fantastic actor now in 1883, that's all based in Lone Ranger. It's all based off of Bass Reeves. I believe that at the timeline, at the height of his career, he had a 32-year career, killed 14 men, some people say 20 in self-defense, and arrested 3,000 people who did not want to be arrested. And this man was illiterate.
Wow.
He was a runaway slave. He was a crack shot, never worked on the plantation,
Wow.
He was like a superhero at 8 years old because he could shoot so well. He was a sharpshooter and a great tracker while he was on the plantation for the Reeves plantation. He was born in Arkansas and then Texas. Was a bodyguard for General George Reeves, the son of his master. And they got into a card fight like brothers. He said something stupid. They were drunk. He whooped his behind. Everybody realized, wait a minute, you didn't read the room. You don't know where you're at. You can't beat up this white man. Yeah. So he fled. to what they call the Indian Territory at the time, which is worse than Chicago, Iraq, and Afghanistan. At the time, it was nothing but lawlessness there, and they had 250 U.S. Marshals that ended up dying, getting lost, killed, or burning up in the sun. And they realized that this man who fled to the Indian Territory and lived with the Seminoles, but these are all the people that were considered a civilized tribe: the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Seminoles, the Creek, and he spoke all their languages. And he would take a warrant, 3,000 of them. You could read the warrant to him one time, and he could remember who he needed to get. And he would take on certain disguises. A preacher, a slave, a drunk, a robber, a killer. He would take on. He was the first Serpico. He was the first, Sherlock Holmes as his detective work. And he would even sketch certain faces when he get information. And he would give the people that gave him good information a silver dollar. So that's where the silver bullet comes from.
Yeah.
That's where the mask comes from on the Lone Ranger. And he rode a white horse, and he rode a paint, what we call a pinto. That's like white and brown spots, right? So Tonto and, people could argue it, but Tonto and the Lone Ranger was one man, Bass Reeves.
Right. That's interesting. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be good. Well, Isaiah, I thank you so much for being here and for sharing. Like, this is interesting. I could keep you here forever because I love to hear all of that behind the scenes stuff. I love it. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. One last thing before we go. What are you telling the people? Yeah. What is the best advice that you're giving some of these young people that want to get in the business? What is your best advice?
You have to love it, whether you do it for fee or for free. If you don't love it, it ain't gonna love you back.
That's it. That's all. How can people reach you on all social media sites?
I'm accessible mostly Twitter. I don't really hang out that much because I don't want to get in trouble. But because I'm gonna speak my truth. You come for me, I'm gonna come back. But I posted my key art, of course, account on Twitter recently, and
I like it. It's nice.
I unblocked and all followed all my 970 detractors. It's like, well, if I don't agree with you, you don't like me, I don't know you, it don't matter. I love you anyway. Yeah. I'm not a runner. I'm not afraid of anybody, especially when I'm standing on the truth, right? There's a lot of lies out there on me, and that's just unfortunate, but it ain't got nothing to do with me. You ain't heard, I've been married to the same one for 26 years. 3 beautiful kids, speak multiple languages, no domestic violence, no outside kids, no DUI. I don't even have a speeding ticket in the last 15 years. But a whole lot of people got a whole lot to say about me. And worked with a gay man on P Valley for 3 months. How's that houseway?
Well, look, I appreciate your work.
It's all God. It's all God.
It's all God. And just keep believing in God and let him lead you, because now Corsicana is going to blow up. It's going to be the best.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
We're going to put it out there.
I hope I get the support from the allies that I have.
I do too.
And in that, if it's going to blow up, then I'll take it.
Blow up.
Because it just gives me, business-wise, an opportunity to return the investment and continue to do more work.
Right.
Independently.
Most of all, we wish you success. We wish you success. Black Link Magazine, we support you, and we can't wait to be in Houston to meet you in person and get you hopefully on the cover of the magazine if you will accept, and all that good stuff. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Okay, baby. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
You guys, remember, we're gonna go for now, but remember to respect yourself, respect each other. God bless.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.